Lagos. Coming up in this episode, we have... How about a cherry red bullnose convertible? Whoa. Imagine turning up to a party in one of these. Woohoo! And I said, but Chile doesn't have a border with Brazil. Brazil's a long way. And they just laughed and walked away shaking their heads. I really have no idea what this contraption does. But hang on, what's that? He strapped blades to his forearms, killing the Spanish and defeating them in battle as well. There were some unrestored and semi-restored vehicles. There were quite a few unrestored vintage bikes as well. So I'm in the town of Freire in the mid-south of Chile. My bag's packed out the back of the Hosteria Recanto under the watchful eye of Pedro's dog. However, this is the first day since up in Peru I've run into thick fog, and I had to occasionally stop and lift my visor and defog my spectacles. Once I got up to speed though, the wind was enough if I lift the visor up to not fog up my glasses. By the way, you'll notice there's no on-the-road footage again because my action cam, it stopped working for some reason. Sorry about that. Along this route, to the east begins a series of lakes that run north and south. I guess there's something left over from the glacial action of the Andes. You could actually do some zigzagging and go down through all the lakes, which would be very nice, but I decided to just stick to the Panamericana. And as the fog lifted, just ate up the kilometres. Until I saw something that made me park my bike and jump the Jersey barrier and go and investigate more. You see that man in that blue thing above the white car? We didn't actually say any words, but through sign language I motioned with my camera, "Can I take a photo?" And he waved me on and said, "Yeah, no problems." Now I thought this was a junkyard initially. It's actually a collection of unrestored vintage cars and tractors, bikes, jeeps, everything. I wonder where he got them from. There were a number of motorbikes here. I wonder what the story is behind these. Of course, I couldn't resist taking a couple of panoramas. One from the front. And one from the back. This, I'm pretty sure, is a Dodge Lancer, very similar to a car I had as a young man. In Australia they were called R-Series Valiants. But what is this wooden thing towed by a tractor? I can only guess some sort of device that drops the seeds at a certain rate into the furrow. I'm not sure. It was overcast and chilly. 12 degrees Celsius is only about 54 degrees Fahrenheit. I am getting further south and the temperature is starting to drop. Later the sun came out again just as I was crossing the Rio Bueno, which means the good river. And it does look like a good river. I bet you there's trout and everything in that nice river there. The Rio Bueno is fed from a lake called Lake Ranco. So my motorbike's a Ronco. Ronco crossed the Rio, fed from the Ranco. That's like a milestone, but it's in kilometres. And it means we're 889 kilometres from Santiago, the capital. So I've probably done about 1,000 since leaving Valparaiso. I guess this billboard is advertising wheat fertiliser or fungicide or something. But Baccara, that reminds me of something, some song.
Yes, sir, I can boogie.
And I had it going round in my head for the rest of the day. I took that cold and fog as a reason to head east into Argentina, where on the other side of the Andes I hoped it would be drier and sunnier. So I left the Pan America and got on Highway 215, but not before making a few wrong turns in the town of Osorno. I don't know what this factory made, but its front yard projected a striking image. There were many roadside stalls selling fresh produce, cheeses, jams and pickled things. Don Roberto, he sold everything. A bit further along I saw a sign that advertised the Moncopuyi Motor Museum. Intrigued, I rode in. This morning's encounter with a lineup of rusty wrecks on the Pan American had only whetted my appetite. I did not hesitate to buy an entry ticket. And inside was one of Chile's biggest collection of vintage cars, especially Studebakers, many of them in beautiful condition. Nobody seems to make cars as stylish as these beauties these days. How about a cherry red bullnose convertible? Whoa! Imagine turning up to a party in one of these. Woohoo! Ford fans were not forgotten. Check out the fake spare wheel on this Studebaker Hawk. Wow, a Studebaker Silver Hawk. Some of these had factory-installed supercharged V8 engines that, in their day, just blew away the competition. In a side room, there were other items from a bygone era. I think this is an old X-ray machine. I remember our family had something similar to this when I was a kid, but they're a true antique now. This stuff just makes you realise how ephemeral so many of the things that we think of as modern, they're not modern for very long. At the rear of the museum, there were some unrestored and semi-restored vehicles. Some of these were pretty nifty. Another bullet nose Studebaker. Looks like he likes Citroen's 2CVs too. Looks like this is the Chevy section. But hang on, what's that? Not your usual BMW. We had these in Australia. That's a Borgward Isabella. Look at this lineup of classic cars. I'm not an insurance valuer, but I would dare say that in this museum there would be several $1 million worth of collector cars. Now, the lady selling entry tickets to this museum was an older lady, but very snappily dressed, very well spoken, very elegant. And I asked her on the way out, who owns all these cars? Is he a millionaire? And she said, no, he is an agricultor de la región, which means he's a local farmer. And many of them were donated or on loan, and he was not a millionaire. But what an amazing find. Totally unexpected and well worth the admission price. I came across some guys working on a new high voltage transmission line. As a former electrician, I thought it was worth stopping and taking a photo. They looked worried, started shouting at me, and then two workers came over to see why I was taking a photo. I explained I was just interested because I was an electrician, and I gave them a Mataru Moto sticker and everything seemed okay. One thing that made them laugh was when I asked, where's the electricity going from? They said, it's a new transmission line to Brazil. And I said, but Chile doesn't have a border with Brazil. Brazil's a long way. And they just laughed and walked away shaking their heads. Some of these houses look like something off the set of that old TV show, The Little House on the Prairie, except for the satellite dish, of course, and it's within sight of a very steep volcano. What's this wooden carving with wheels out the front? I think that means they sell homemade marmalade. And they've got this old steam engine parked out the front. After filling up, it was getting a bit late in the day, so I started looking for a place to stay. The first place I came to had a vacancy sign out the front, but a guy pulled up behind me in a car and said kind of sternly, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a room." And he said, "We don't have any." And I don't know why he said that. Maybe he doesn't like people with Peruvian plates or motorbikers in general. It is the low season and everything looked empty, so I just kept moving on, and eventually I found a really nice place out on the edge of town, the Valenciana. There, the manager was very friendly and offered me the choice of a room or a bungalow. So I went around the back, saw Habitation D, where I could park my bike right beside it, and I took that immediately. What a nice wood-panelled room it was, with a view of Lake Puyahui. After a quick shower, there was just enough light to walk down to the lake shore. You could see clear across to the other side, and how tranquil it was. There was even a duck doing what I just did, having a bath. This place has a certain ambience, like a mountain paradise. But it wasn't always so. You could imagine the Mapuche hunting ducks, fishing, living peacefully here, until one day around the mid-1500s, the Spanish invaded from the north, demanding gold and amputating the hands and feet of anyone that showed any resistance. Today I covered a bit over 290 kilometres, with those series of lakes always on my right. And tonight I'm staying on the southwestern shore of Lago Puyahui. But all those beautiful lakes, they have a bloody history. Just north of this lake is Lake Ranco, and there's a town on the shore of that lake called Yefen. It's only about 60 kilometres or 40 miles as the crow flies from where I'm staying tonight. And Yifen is where a Mapuche chief called Huipotayan was tortured and murdered by the Spanish governor Alonso de Sotomayor. Huipotayan, his widow, was called Janequeo, and in Chile she's known as La Juana de Arco de la Araucanía, the Joan of Arc of southern Chile. Along with her brother, she avenged the death of her husband, leading an army to attack a Spanish fortress further to the north, Puchunqui Fortress in Nahuelbuta. The battles were so successful that the Spanish actually were ordered to retreat, and for a time they had to abandon all the Spanish towns and fortresses south of the Rio Biobío. Janequeo, after winning all these battles, retreated to another village on a lake, Voipir, near modern-day Villarica. And there she disappears from the historical record. Some historians doubt her existence because she's only mentioned in one epic chronicle, but there is no doubt about her contemporary, this man, Galvarino. The Spanish cut off his arms as a punishment, but that didn't stop him. He strapped blades to his forearms, killing the Spanish and defeating them in battle as well. It's just incredible and tragic. The war between the Spanish and the Mapuche lasted well over 100 years. And bloody what happened here in this peaceful lake district in southern Chile. It was terribly tragic. Thousands of lives were lost, and it was more than 300 years later, in 1883, that the Mapuche in Araucanía were finally incorporated into what is now modern Chile. Modern Chile, where the Mapuche are still struggling for their rights. Modern Chile, where I was about to retire to my beautiful room at the Hospedaje La Valenciana. Coming up in the next episode, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss it. Even the sign saying "Welcome to Argentina" is half buried in volcanic ash. That sign says Bridge of the Gringo, and it's got about a dozen bullet holes in it. What a beautiful lake. I think across there is Bariloche.